Look, in the doorway. M was just standing silently, staring at us. This was like a scene from a horror movie with her long black hair over her face, I kid you not. M had then proceeded to burn her entire apartment down because the voices in her head were telling her that she has to burn everything to save her friends and family. I'm a 36 years old female in Sweden. I have worked in mental health care for the last 18 years, mainly with people with psychotic illnesses like schizophrenia. I was working at a group home for 9 years and we were very close with my coworkers there, especially two females. The last few years I worked there, another female started working, let's call her M. And the four of us grew very close. Despite her shyness and frequent long-term sick leaves due to her own mental health issues, we all grew very close. M, who has schizophrenia, always attended our after-work dinners even when she couldn't work full-time. She told us that she had a history of schizophrenia herself, just like the patients we were treating, but that she was medicated and hadn't had any psychotic episodes for years. Since I have an education in psychiatry and a long experience with schizophrenia, I have no judgment towards people suffering from the illness, and it didn't bother me being friends with someone who had a diagnosis like that, and even after what I will tell you, I still feel the same way. In the summer of 2023, I began working at a new job in forensic psychiatry, similar to a halfway house for mentally ill individuals with criminal histories. Despite my job change, the four of us remained close and still met for dinner parties. M told us that she has been evicted after accidentally entering her neighbor's apartment in the middle of the night. She explained that all the doors in her large apartment complex looked identical. According to her, the neighbors overreacted and reported her to the police, which led to the eviction. While this seemed like an overreaction, I speculated that the landlord's decision might have been influenced by her medical history. Feeling bad for her, I asked if anything else had happened, but she insisted that that was the entire story. In Sweden, it's very difficult to get a contract for an apartment when you have gotten evicted. You pretty much get blacklisted. M asked if she could move in with me as she was homeless, and I agreed without considering the consequences. M wasn't working due to long-term sick leave, while I worked shifts, sometimes starting at 6 a.m. and ending as late as 11 p.m. I suffer from severe insomnia and need to combine two prescribed medications to sleep, but I still wake up easily. She was a heavy smoker and a coffee drinker, so I bought a coffee machine to make her enjoy her living situation more. The coffee machine and the sink is placed right outside my bedroom door. The kitchen is very small. The first night together, I had to wake up at 6 a.m. for my shift. Despite struggling to fall asleep, I kept waking up each time M went out to smoke during the night. Then, at 5 a.m., the noise of her making coffee outside my bedroom started me awake. I gently asked her why she was up so early, considering she's on sick leave and could sleep in. She simply replied that she couldn't sleep. I sympathized, but requested her to wait until at least 6 a.m. to make coffee, since I desperately needed that last hour of sleep for work. Adding to why I need my sleep is that I have epilepsy that gets really bad when I don't get enough sleep. I usually get a lot of seizures when I don't get at least 4 hours of sleep. I don't need to have epilepsy to get... I am dead without, 6-7 hours of sleep. I knew that I would probably get seizures at work now, meaning that this day would be both stressful and potentially dangerous for me, since there is a huge risk that I fall and hurt myself. And it's not a good thing to get cramps and seizures among mentally unstable criminal clients who you are supposed to care for. I know that it's not an ideal situation to work in the field with my condition, and I can inform you that I did quit after only 6 months. She said that she really wanted coffee with her cigarettes, but that she would try to wait the next time I have to go to work. I accepted it and went on with my day, but things didn't get better. She continued to wake me up early in the morning and through the nights, and continued to promise to stop, but insisted that she really wanted coffee with her cigarettes. I suggested making the coffee the night before or drinking iced coffee or even Coke instead, but she didn't want that. I may add that she demanded me to be silent at 10 p.m. because that's when she wanted to sleep, and I did respect that. After a while, I started dating a guy, and we struggled to find alone time due to both of us having roommates. I asked Em if she could give us just one night alone in the apartment occasionally, suggesting she could go for a walk or go to the library, but she claimed she had nowhere to go and didn't like the idea. A coworker noticed my frustration and offered for Em to stay at her place for a night. Em initially hesitated, not wanting to bother her, but eventually agreed. She spent the night there, and the following week I stayed elsewhere to give her some alone time too. When I returned home the next morning, I noticed that my cat's water bowl was completely dry. There was no water spilled on the floor, and it looked as if it had been wiped clean with a towel or paper. I clearly remember filling it to the brim the night before. When I asked her about it, she claimed the cats must have tipped it over, but there was no evidence of water on the floor. My cats are overly social and usually cuddle up with strangers after just a few minutes, but I noticed that the cats withdrew from her more and more over time, and the last couple of weeks they never left my bedroom except from when they ate or used the litter box. It seemed like they were scared of her, which I couldn't figure out since she was so timid. Later on, going through our conversations, I realized that she used to shut my cats inside my bedroom while I was away at work, so they couldn't eat, drink, or use the little boxes. One day, she burned an old saucepan from the 60s that meant a lot to me. It was my grandmother's and is the only thing I have that belongs to her. She made no attempt to clean it, she just left it on the stove and went out to smoke. She didn't even say sorry. She also broke dishes several times and didn't bother to replace them or even apologize. This added to my frustration with her naturally. I also realized she stole my prescribed sleeping pills. Lots of them as well, and I only get one per night, not more or less. And as you already know, I really need them. I had 20 of them when I left for work, and when I came back home, they were gone. She denied, which is pretty hilarious since no one else could have been there. My frustration was getting heavy. The summer heat was strong, and I felt locked up in my tiny bedroom with my 2 cats, never getting time to myself, never any alone time with the guy I was dating except for once every 14th day. My apartment was messy, she was stealing from me, and so on and so forth. One day, out of nowhere, my old elementary school classmate texted me on Facebook asking how do I know Em. He had seen that I had posted on Facebook that we were roommates now, and I told him that we were old co-workers and that she needed a place to stay because she got evicted. He said, I know, but do you know why she was evicted? Yeah, she accidentally went into her neighbor's apartment. He said, that's not the full story. She broke in and snuck up to their sleeping baby with a knife in her hand, but luckily the father woke up and wrestled her down and managed to save the baby. I was shocked. Could it really be true? It might explain her eviction, but she seemed so kind and shy. My friend had the police report, revealing Em broke into his ex-girlfriend's home during a psychotic episode. Details are not public. I started getting quite paranoid now. I was already frustrated with everything and really wanted her to move out. However, we were bound by a contract requiring 30 days of notice. The first night after our talk, she got up and made her coffee at 2:30 a.m. I nearly had a mental breakdown. I was gonna get up at 6 and couldn't go back to sleep. I asked her in the morning for probably the 10th time not to make coffee till I get up, but she didn't even answer to me. This time, she just sat on the sofa and stared out the window. I said, Em? And she kept staring. I was freaked out, but left for work. She continued being weird, making messes, waking me up, and eating my food. I couldn't stop thinking about the incident with her, the baby, and the knife. I got so fed up with being woken by the coffee maker that I basically unplugged it and stored it in the attic, which she couldn't access. I was exhausted. My sleeping pills were stolen and I felt like going crazy. One night, I woke up at 4 a.m. to her making coffee in a saucepan. I tried talking to her, but she just stared silently. Frustrated, I took the saucepan and stored it in the attic too. I know it was extreme, but I was desperate for her to stop the nightly coffee routines and get the hint. The third night, I had the guy I was dating sleeping at our place because I was getting really paranoid now over her weird behavior, not speaking with me and just staring into space. I woke up from a very light sleep by him poking at me. He whispered, "Look," in the doorway. M was just standing silently, staring at us. This was like a scene from a horror movie with her long black hair over her face, I kid you not. I didn't say anything at first because I wanted to know if she just stood there for a second doing something else, but then I realized after a while that she was actually just standing still, staring at us. So I sat up and said, "What are you doing?" But before I could finish the sentence, she just slammed the door, and I heard the sound of something metal falling on the floor and her running into the living room. I yelled out, "You need to leave," and started crying hysterically because this was turning into a fucking nightmare. Of course, I didn't go back to sleep, and I was really happy that I had company that night. I just kept asking myself, has she done this before, stared at me in my sleep? The next day, when I got out of bed, I opened the door that she had slammed shut and saw a kitchen knife on the floor. So that was the metal sound I heard the night before when she ran off. I took all my knives and locked them in the attic as well. I then asked a friend of mine to come to my house and be here when I tell her that she has to move out immediately. During the conversation, I really tried to stay calm. I know she has a mental illness. I know she means no harm, but I was mostly scared and tired. She, however, didn't even answer when I talked to her. She just kept staring out the window. She left the apartment and sent me a text instead, saying that I was disrespectful for bringing a friend over to her place. Nighttime came, and I thought this would be a quiet night finally. No coffee maker or saucepans. But at 3 a.m., I woke up by her burning dry coffee powder in a frying pan. At this moment, I just felt terrified of her. Her face was dead, her eyes were black. I suspected she has gone into psychosis. I stopped the fire and she just ran off to the living room in silence. I knew she had an appointment with a psychiatrist the next day, and while she was away, I packed all her things. I then sent her a text telling her that she needs to pick them up and give me my keys back, and that I will give her money for a hostel for the upcoming 26 days. She didn't reply. The guy I was seeing came to keep me company in case she would fight about it. She didn't. She left the keys without looking at us and left. Our co-workers who were friends with us both told me that she moved in with a guy and she stayed there, basically at his place, for a few weeks until she somehow amazingly got an apartment of her own. She started working again, and I was really happy to hear this. She seemed to do well. Then, in January of this year, one of our old co-workers told me that M had called her and told her that everything must burn down, that she has a baby that she must save, and other delusional stuff. She called 112, which is a Swedish emergency number like 911, but they hadn't taken it seriously. M had then proceeded to burn her entire apartment down because the voices in her head were telling her that she has to burn everything to save her friends and family. Her neighbors tried to rescue her from the fire, but she fought them off and ran back to pour liquor on the fire to make it burn even more. She also left a link for the news. She will serve her time in a mental institution, prison, for a long time, possibly forever. What's ironic is that she will probably be in the facility where I used to work and end up where she used to work herself. My old coworker was a witness at the trial, and apparently she had stopped taking her medication because she thought that it made her feel numb, and she thought that she was stable enough to function without it. She had also stopped taking her medications the last few weeks when she stayed at my house, so when she stared blankly into space, she was going into psychosis. That night when she stared at us with a knife in her hand, and when she burned down the frying pan that last night. It's disturbing to think about what would have happened to me and my cats if she would have stayed, or if I'd have been a heavy sleeper. I also think about the fate of the baby she sneaked in before she was evicted. I haven't discussed it with my friends because they sympathize with her and downplay my experience. They seem to think that I'm making a bigger deal out of it than necessary, and I get it to some extent, as they haven't witnessed the darkness I saw in her eyes during those last days.
Wow, it's scary. I don't know. People with knives, scary shit.
People with mental illnesses not treated especially are scary
Yeah.
and very unpredictable. But like just thinking about it, waking up at night and I don't know, imagine seeing me staring at you
Oh
for
my
no
god,
obvious reason, just there.
that would be scary.
And then you find out that I had a knife.
Yeah, no, no, no. It's scary, and the fact that she could have burned down the house with everything in it. That's wow.
But she was refusing constantly to leave the house. So in her mind, it was her house at some point.
Yeah, she became accustomed with everything, and she thought it was hers. She, of course, because she stopped taking her medication, her world was distorted. So, but I'm still in shock. Like, first of all, maybe because I wouldn't let like anyone I don't know
Well,
stay with
she
me.
kind of knew her for years at her
Yeah, but to be
workplace.
honest, workplace, like
True.
acquaintances. I'm not. I mean, I can help you with money if that's whatever, or get you in contact with and someone, but I'm not sure, especially because the apartment was pretty small.
Yeah, it was small, and she also had two
Yeah,
cats, so
so I value my personal space. I mean, I understand where she came from and the fact that she wanted to help, but it's scary, especially when you don't know exactly what to do. And if you tell someone to get out and they don't like get the message, it's even scarier. But it's good that she brought someone with her every time. It was like her boyfriend and the friend and everything, because if not, I think it would have escalated, but in a nasty way. Yeah, that's really sad because people with mental health issues should be like under, I don't know,
surveillance.
surveillance. Yeah, exactly.
What's fun, well, not funny, but what I found out like last summer when I was in Slovenia, there was this police officer at the yoga course, and she told me that because we were talking, and I asked her how is her job, taking into consideration that I found it like the town itself was very quiet. Like after 8 p.m., there was no sound, no light on the street. It was just pure darkness. It was so fucking scary. And then she told me that yes, people are not fighting publicly, but they are killing themselves inside their homes. So she was dealing with lots of cases, like murder cases, silent murder cases. So,
That's even scarier.
yeah.
Like imagine your neighbors killing each other.
And just like disappearing one by one.
Yeah. No, I think sometimes being chaotic is better because you kind of have a like an understanding and of a sense of what's going on. But when it's silent, and I got And I'm still marked by the fact that she was just staring. Because that's the
Who knows what
scariest.
she was thinking, like,
Yeah.
or what was in her mind, because you
Or
can also have
if there
illusions.
was something in her mind.
Yeah.
And I tend to think that she would have attacked her, but the boyfriend was something new to the environment, so she was like not sure what to do.
Yeah, she
I think
wasn't
that's
prepared for
yeah,
that
I
one.
think that's what stopped her from like going through with the idea, the boyfriend. But also imagine the poor boyfriend going to sleep at your girlfriend's house and seeing that.
Yeah, I don't know how that was really.
And I don't understand the obsession with the coffee. I mean, I'm trying to quit smoking, but I'm a smoker and like drinking coffee it goes perfectly well with a cigarette. I totally understand that. But she went to the extent of like burning coffee beans or whatever it was.
Maybe it's linked also to the house.
Burning.
That, yeah.
Yeah, but she started doing that when you're like the main character, whatever, the girl started like locking the coffee machine and everything in the attic. So it's not like she switched to the frying pan instantly. Like she resorted to that because she didn't have access to the coffee machine. And what and how could she burn the house down with the coffee machine?
Well, also depends on the time when she stopped taking her medication, right? Because at first she seemed very normal. She was just crazily making coffee at 5 a.m. in the morning. Fine. That's not out of normal standards. But then depends when she stopped taking her medication,
Yeah.
because yeah, I think that was the point when she just started burning coffee and staring at her, so on and so forth. So yeah, but honestly, if you know that this person has a history of mental illness, and also she was evicted by breaking into someone's house, I wouldn't even think twice. Like, I would ask for someone's help or something, but not welcome that person into my house, because it's a risk,
Yeah.
and it's a huge one.
That's what being good gives you.
Yeah, so we have to learn to say no
Yeah.
more often in
I mean,
general.
it's admirable. I respect her for doing that. But again, she was a stranger after all because it's not like they were friends. Like they knew each other, but like I said, they were acquaintances, they weren't friends. So it's not like she knew that M had episodes and what type of episodes and how she behaves in certain situations and how she behaves when she's not on medication, because of course she didn't know she was off the medication. She only thought that she added to her medication the sleeping pills that she stole from. Yeah.
And also, let's talk about the police that didn't take it seriously.
If someone calls you and saying, I need to burn everything down to save my baby, whatever,
Well, actually, it was
like,
her friend that told the police, my friend M is
oh,
trying
so
to.
so the friend
Yeah.
was, well, just at least investigate.
Yeah, at least
Like,
investigate. I'm sure that person gave an address. I'm sure that person maybe gave a
and you can
name or even
find them
context.
afterwards. You
Yeah.
can give them a ticket, whatever. Like for if it were to be false, but obviously it wasn't. So yeah.
But yeah, she was living a whole horror movie in her mind.
And I think
Scary.
it, uh, because she doesn't like really get into it or she doesn't know. But I think in M's past, there was something with the baby. Maybe a sibling, or she had a miscarriage or whatever. it happened.
Yeah, most probably.
Yeah, because the first time she like entered the house and went for the baby, and then she said like I need to protect my family and save my family and friends by burning everything, and then saving the baby again. So it's something in her. I'm just curious.
Yeah, could be like PTSD.
Yeah,
Yeah,
combined with schizophrenia. Yeah,
yeah.
but it's really dangerous, and everyone should have access to the medication, because she clearly had access to the medication, but she stopped because she wasn't supervised. But there are people that are not, like, they can't afford the medication, which is sad, because you can get to stages in your disease like this, which is scary for you and for those around you.
And also, I don't know what is the extent um, of getting like, um, is it called a guardian?
I guess, yeah.
Someone who is watching over you.
Yeah,
Because
guardian.
clearly, having that illness means that you're very unpredictable and that you're a public danger sometimes without even realizing. Um, but yeah, that could have been reinforced. I hope they did something. Probably not.
Yeah.
But
Maybe they didn't do anything because they were co-workers, right? So maybe they assumed because she was behaving at the workplace that she's under control, and that she's having it locked in, like the disease with the medication and everything, and that she's working everything perfectly. So maybe that's why, but still I think you need some periodic checkups at least, if not a guardian. Just
yeah, like
periodic.
mandatory checkups. Yeah,
Yeah,
kind of sad. Like, I'm
yeah.
sad for her, but yeah, it's just how it is, I
So it's
guess.
a true story.
Yeah, it's a true story.
Well, it's good for her that she's in Sweden, because their rehabilitation, like, infrastructure and everything is perfect to a T, and the way they think, the prisons, because I think she went to prison, right? Like some,
Maybe.
yeah, whatever. But that's why I like it, because they're not like just punishment. They
Yeah,
put
maybe
people,
special
yeah,
prison. Yeah.
well, they put people in prison, even like normal criminal, that sounds, but like people without a mental health issue that are criminals, and they work on rehabilitating them into the society, not just punishing them and then releasing them with more frustration, which happens a lot, almost everywhere, which I think is the best way to go in those cases. Like, you need to try to communicate with that person and try to get them understand what they did wrong and how they can, like, be assisted to do better. And especially in her case, I think they would work more on her mental state.
Yeah, and that she would be supervised and
Yeah,
everything. Yeah.
I think it's for the best.
It's also for her own like
Yeah,
benefit, really,
yeah.
because
And
she
I
could
hope,
have burned down
and I
there
hope the girl,
in
like,
her
not
house.
them, the other one, that she moved from that place. I really hope for her, like, peace of mind, because I couldn't, like, sleep in the same place ever again
Yeah,
after
after
everything.
those.
No, I need to move. I hope she moved with her boyfriend and everything is fine. Yeah.
But yeah, it was a very traumatic experience for
And it's
both of them.
sadder because it's true and it happens a lot. So
Yeah, it happens a lot. There are lots of cases. There are cases in which also like other people kill because they have illusions and they think that they have to do this for their own survival. I don't know how human brain
the
works.
voices.
And the voices, yeah, the voices in my head tell me that I have to kill you. It's, I don't know. Human brain is weird and scary. So we hope you enjoyed today's story. Until next time, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and we will
See ya.